Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to hear has the potential to destroy all of your preconceived ideas about love, loyalty, and hip-hop royalty because just 24 hours ago, 50 Cent opened his mouth, and what he said was more than just a confession. It was a funeral for the perception that we all held of Remy Ma and Papoose. Papoose remarked, "Calm, cold, certain." In that single sentence, 50 destroyed a legacy, ended a marriage, and unveiled a scandal that had been held a secret since 2006. Hiatus, the man who waited for years while Remy was incarcerated and who demonstrated her everlasting loyalty, went live in the meantime, his eyes red and his hands quivering. The whole awful truth is here at this very moment, and the internet is on fire. Old footage is coming back to life, and inexplicable gifts are fueling rumors that now make too much sense. Nothing, we mean nothing, could have prepared the culture for this, because when 50 Cent, the king of trolling and petty vengeance, dropped his latest bombshell on a podcast, nobody was even listening to the entire hip-hop scene. The internet believed it had seen it all: cheating scandals, secret babies, and hidden marriages. Twitter entered DEFCON 1, and previous pictures of Remy and 50 backstage were re-examined frame by frame before the host paused, leaned forward, and said, "Wait, are you serious?" 50 merely nodded. Calm, cold, deadly. A whole different perspective was also given to Remy's 2006 freestyle on Gannett Radio. People didn't realize how close Remy and I were. He simply stared into the camera and said, "We were together before Papoose," without blinking or grinning. As 50 held Remy for a bit too long, Papoose seemed clearly annoyed. Let's travel back in time to discover how badly this betrayal burns, even though that one became viral once again. 50 Cent was just off killing Ja Rule's entire label with a mixtape and a glare, while Remy Ma was the first lady of Terror Squad, delivering bars that made male rappers shudder, since everyone saw only one thing by the time Remy was imprisoned. In 2008, Papoose, no one suspected anything, at least not out loud, even though their chemistry was obvious every time they shared a stage. The man who stood by her wrote her letters, covered her legal bills, and placed. When she finally came out in 2014, 50 Cent put his entire career on hold to wait for the woman he loved, a man who told the world, "Remy is my queen." Their reunion was touching, iconic, and in a subtle way, a rap love tale that will endure for years to come. What if the story we all thought was true turned out to be a lie? What if we believed Remy and Papoose were trustworthy over those years, but there was another man working behind the scenes who had a history, receipts, and no fear of disclosing anything? 50 Cent just accomplished precisely that. In any event, it was said that Remy and 50 were more than just chatting. They were heavily involved in things like secret hotel reservations, matching watches, and a custom chain that 50 supposedly gave her but that inexplicably vanished right before her trial. Papoose allegedly believed Remy when she said she had misplaced it without question. In the present, the identical chain is being sold again on eBay under the name of an unidentified vendor. A female rapper who dated a mogul once had this vintage item. This cannot be made up. What occurs when a man like Papoose, who gave up years of his life to demonstrate after 50's confession, he went live on Instagram a few hours later. His hands trembled, tears filled his eyes, and for the first time in his career, Papoose had no bars or quotes, just anguish. He didn't say much, but the expression in his eyes spoke for itself. When I saw the messages, I wondered, wait, what messages? You already know. What did we find? Let's just say even Fat Joe had to take a step back. However, she assured me that it was simply industry chatter, but there is more to it than that. Backstage footage, old tweets, receipts, and grainy screenshots. From a flip phone that someone claims show Remy and 50 sharing a kiss at a G-Unit after-party are all over the timelines. It gets worse just when you think it can't get any worse. This time, not even Papoose believed Remy's attempts to gaslight, deny everything, and reframe the situation as if it were a simple miscommunication. An unnamed stylist who worked with Remy during her comeback said that tension was constant. The silence, the long pauses between talks, and the expression on a man's face when he learns that he devoted his life to someone who gave their body to someone else are more painful than shouting when trust is broken. Additionally, 50 Cent was using laughing emojis and playing guys in the background of his gym stories, while Remy was tweeting Bible verses and trying to limit the harm in his comments. But 50 wasn't done. He said more evidence will be provided, and you can bet your money that it's already loaded in the chamber when he makes additional promises. Something else went viral on the internet just as fans began to speculate about what else 50 might have planned. The metadata's timestamp is October 12, 2006, 2 weeks before Remy's arrest. And the voice sounds the same, with an emotional and urgent tone. Take a moment to process that. The devoted soldier moved out of the way of the camera, picked up a piece of paper, and held it up just as viewers were still absorbing that auditory bomb. DNA test pending, it said. Hold on, DNA test. The internet abruptly stopped debating whether 50 Cent was telling the truth and instead posed a single query. The voicemail that was leaked was allegedly from Remy Ma and was from 2006. However, everything is up for grabs when betrayal enters the conversation. There are rumors that the person who held up the piece of paper that stated the DNA test was pending is actually older and whose birth date coincides somewhat too precisely with the time Remy and 50 Cent were allegedly together back in 2006. The test, according to sources, isn't about his daughter with Remy, or even about one of the children they raised together. Fans weren't the only ones shaken. The entire business was rocked. Always dismissed them out of love, loyalty, and trust. Everything fell wrong, though, when that voicemail, in which Remy supposedly said, "Pap, don't ask questions," leaked. Pap has been quiet, not eating, and not sleeping. And the worst part is that he is doing all of this off camera, according to people close to him. The man who used to go live to defend his queen is suddenly refusing interviews, closing down studio sessions, and rejecting media requests. Remy is playing defense as though her life depended on it, but the silence is deafening. However, fans started bringing up earlier interviews when the DNA rumor surfaced, indicating that the public isn't believing it. One in particular, from a breakfast show in 2015, is gaining fresh interest. Remy stutters and looks uncomfortable when asked about her relationship timeline with Papoose in that tape. In addition to the grainy but powerful video from a Goonit after party, where Remy is seen talking in her 40s while carrying what appears to be the same necklace that's currently in circulation, others are now slowing it down and pointing out how she looks sideways when asked about the year 2006. Everyone knew something was going on between 50 and Remy, but it was hush-hush. No one wanted to deal with Papoose if it got out. Dude was serious. One anonymous former security guard who worked for both Goonit and Fat Joe in the mid-2000s wrote in a private direct message to a hip-hop blog. In the backdrop of the video, a man who resembles Papoose is seen leaving. But hold on, things get messier. The same security claims that 50 once showed up at Ray's hotel suite without warning. He stayed for over 3 hours without any entourage or media crews after she allowed him entry. In the present, for example, and fans pointed out that Remy Ma deleted an old Instagram post with a vintage image of Papoose cradling their child just hours after the DNA test controversy started to gain traction, even though she hasn't responded to the new accusations explicitly. A planned podcast appearance was also apparently canceled by her, citing mental health concerns. Interestingly, Fat Joe, who has been oddly quiet during the commotion, eventually spoke up in an enigmatic Instagram Live. He stated that loyalty is uncommon and that sometimes the people you die for are the ones who dig the hole. But he did not name names. Fans now speculate that Fat Joe was aware of Remy and 50 all along and that he remained silent to save her reputation out of deference to the squad. But now that the truth is out, even he is unable to keep it in check. 50 Cent, on the other hand, is having a great time. "I keep secrets better than my enemies can blink." Remy raps in this footage from an old freestyle battle. He captioned it, "No longer," and then deleted it. But not before everyone took a snapshot of it. We believe him when he says there will be more receipts because he is being polite. He has voicemails, old pictures, phone messages, and even a signed birthday card that Remy supposedly sent him in 2006, according to sources close to his camp. The card has a heart and the words, "Thanks for always having my back," among other things. Papoose is making subtle motions while that card is being validated. This is the 50-year-old man who ridiculed Floyd Mayweather for reading aloud and got into a confrontation with his kid. Right now, transparency, closure, and perhaps even custody are more important than loyalty. Papoose is considering requesting a formal separation, but only when the DNA results are in, according to an insider. He's seeing everything, remaining motionless and remaining silent until then. What about Remy? She was seen alone at a private dinner in Manhattan last night, with just her and her phone barely touching her food. Papoose and the media were not present. Once thought to be unbreakable, the pair is now slowly disintegrating in front of millions of people. 50 Cent continues to make mysterious posts that allude to one more item that will definitely end this saga. What might it be? Is a video available? A call that was recorded? Someone else who is just waiting to speak up and knows the truth? But if the DNA findings show that the infant is not Papoose, one thing is for sure: it won't simply ruin a partnership, a whole legacy will be rewritten. It started out as murmurs, evolved into a confession, and now that the results are in, it's all falling apart. The DNA test showed that the child Papoose thought was not the father, following weeks of conjecture, silent looks, and online detective work from hip-hop Twitter. Within seconds, screenshots of the document went viral. The date and result were prominent, unmistakable, and impossible to miss, yet the lab name was deleted. In a single sentence, years of sacrifice and public devotion were abruptly broken. The man needed someone to support him after he had spent so much time securing his queen via prison walls. Insiders claim that Papoose initially didn't even read the full piece. He dropped the paper as soon as he saw the word excluded. It was never taken up by his hands again. Sources claim that since the outcome, he has not spoken to Remy personally. Rather than biology, she allegedly sent voice notes saying, "You are still the one who raised him," was about being forced to look stupid in front of a world that previously praised him as the model of steadfast devotion. That image is no longer there, and it hasn't been broken or chipped. The internet isn't letting it go, which exacerbates the situation. Memes based on viral videos of Remy saying to Wendy Williams, "Pap is the only man I ever trusted," are becoming popular. Now, it's constantly accompanied by 50 Cent's chuckle. Speaking of 50, he didn't hesitate to tamper with the football. A few hours after the DNA bomb was dropped, he shared a video of me screaming, "You are not the father." Caption: "Everyone, I told you." According to legal sources, Papoose has already gotten in touch with an attorney to find out if a formal declaration is required to safeguard his reputation, money, and what little of himself he still has. Remy, however, is said to be upset by the result, as well as the fact that her close circle is betraying her. After they accused me of being messy, he posted a video of himself sipping tea. Is traditional petty inevitability? But social media is no longer the only thing that's happening. She was in negotiations for a new reality show spin-off that is now dead in the water. Her life is in shambles, and brand deals are falling through. Comments are now leaking information, telling blogs that this wasn't a one-time mistake, that her relationship with 50 lasted longer than anyone knew, that she had real feelings for him, and that she buried them to build her life with Papoose. One sponsor allegedly said, "We can't align ourselves with someone whose narrative is shifting so violently." The story that began as a redemption story, Remy's release from prison, her career rebuilding, and her standing tall beside a faithful king, is now being rewritten as something entirely different. It's not just betrayal, though. It's a PR relationship, a rebrand based on strategy and silence, a queen who never really left her first king behind, and everyone is talking about it. Fat Joe went live again, this time more bluntly, saying, "I love both of them, but lies don't stay buried forever. And when they come up, they don't knock. They kick the door in." Fans also disagree, with some believing Papoose should have. No one can deny that Papoose is no longer talking. Not to fans, blogs, or Remy. Some vehemently defend him, calling him the last real one, a man who gave his all and was stabbed in the back by the very person he built a life for. Others defend Remy, saying that mistakes happen, that her past shouldn't define her present, and that the industry itself is the real villain here, always ready to destroy Black love the moment it takes center stage. According to one friend, Remy is planning to take a break from music and focus on his daughter, his family, and the parts of his life that still feel real. It's the loudest part of this whole mess because it means he's done defending, explaining, and acting. Remy is still posting, but it feels different now. A throwback here, a quote there, nothing personal, nothing emotional, just noise, as if she knows the apology won't work this time and the child at the center of it all. Sources say Papoose will continue to support. The screenshots never go out of style, and the truth always comes to light. Papoose famously said, "Loyalty is love with legs, no matter how long it takes." It turns out that it left as soon as the mask collapsed, and the story ends there. Or is it because just as 50 Cent smirks and leaves, Remy Ma is left to clean up a mess that can't be swept away because the internet doesn't forget? He did it in private, not because he had to, but because he did it from the beginning. And unlike some, he remembers everything he said. We thought everything had fallen apart when a new photo of 50 Cent smiling outside a studio with a woman wearing sunglasses surfaced on blogs with the caption, "Next Friday, it looks like someone's got another story to tell." And there you have it. The truth is shattered like glass, the silence is louder than ever, and the man seeking loyalty is now standing in the wreckage of everything he once believed in. But it's not just about 50 Cent, Papoose, or Remy Ma. It's about how quickly love turns into a headline, how one confession can destroy decades of trust, and how true loyalty is dying. So we ask, was Remy ever really honest with, "This is the messiest love triangle on the internet, and it just went nuclear"? Did 50 speak up to expose the truth, or just to put gasoline on an old flame? Can a relationship survive after the receipts go public? If you're still in shock and trying to piece together the betrayal, or are waiting to see what comes out next, please like, subscribe, and enable notifications because this story is far from over. Trust us, the next chapter is coming, and you'll want to be here when it drops.